A question that comes up is who should initiate dialogue. And it's easy sometimes to think that it should be somebody else, or certainly the person that has the greater authority or status within the relationship. But I believe it can be anybody that has an awareness of what's happening, a vested interest in an outcome, and a reasonable level of confidence in being able to play a helpful role. In fact, it's important that you not always wait for others. If you have a burning issue, if you understand the dynamics of conflict and how to build collaboration, then you often will need to take the lead in initiating and facilitating these conversations. And I'm hoping that the principles that I'm teaching you will give you the confidence to know how to step up to these challenges. But you do have to decide if it's worth addressing all conflicts. You might decide that some conversations simply aren't worth having, the risks are too high, or you lack the confidence to deal with a particular person or group. For example, do you confront a neighbor about a barking dog, or a coworker about sloppy work, or a boss about not getting a raise, or your partner for not doing more around the house? These kinds of decisions are subjective. There isn't necessarily a right or wrong answer. You have to think through the risks and potential benefits. Just be aware of your choice points and make the best decision possible in the moment. You can always come back later and make another decision. But I do want to share with you a few times when it doesn't make sense to enter into dialogue. One is you're upset and you want to vent your feelings. Being upset and looking for a chance to vent is not a good conflict resolution strategy. It's not going to move the conversation forward. It's going to cause people to feel unsafe and to alienate and polarize. Feelings often need to be expressed as part of dialogue, but always with ownership and the intent to listen to other people and achieve win-win outcomes. And yet I get that sometimes you really do need to vent before you're ready to deal with a conflict. And so choose a third party, somebody who will listen to you and support you, but without taking sides. Or sometimes you might want to write in a journal if you don't have anybody to talk to. Get those feelings out. It can be helpful before you enter into conflict. Another situation when it doesn't make sense to enter into dialogue is when the conflict is really inside of you. Sometimes it isn't as much about what the other person is doing as your own thoughts that are causing your unhappiness. We get it wired up so easily in our brains that our lives would be so much easier, or problems would go away if other people were different. But that's a vote we don't get to make, nor is it what dialogue is all about. Often we have to let go of some expectations, and as we do so, we find that our conflicts become less important. Here's another example of when we may not enter into conflict. The other person has no desire or no incentive to work things out. They don't see any negative long-term consequences in what's happening and don't believe that it's in their self-interest to negotiate some kind of a resolution with you or anybody else. You also recognize that you don't have enough leverage in this relationship to change this dynamic. Or another example related is the person that has power and authority over you and is a strong personality who's not likely to let you take the lead in bringing up a topic or bringing something to light, or not willing to let you negotiate a resolution. You'd like to talk to them, but you really don't believe that you have the skill level, at least today, to stand authentically and courageously before them to negotiate. So all of these are conditions when entering into dialogue may not be a good or a sound strategy. I'm not saying don't initiate dialogue. I've had to engage throughout my career and throughout my life in some very sensitive and high-stakes conversations. And I look back knowing that it's been worth it. But I am saying that it's important to go into these kind of conversations with your eyes wide open, understanding the stakes and what it's going to take.